This is reposted.
He is one of our favorites here on the Reposted podcast. He is the one and only, the very cuddly, the very huggable Brandon Doble, owner and proprietor of the Football and Football podcast, which is breaking records on the Podbean podcast network, and also the owner and proprietor of the How I Got That Way podcast. Brandon, thank you for blessing us with another appearance on our show.
Well, I set my clock by my appearances on this show. Once a month, it's like a Christmas day for me every time I come on. So I literally have 12 Christmases a year. So the rest of the people, they could suck it because I win. I'm on the Reposted podcast.
A little peek behind the curtain. We record on the 25th every month, so Brandon can make it feel like it's Christmas, but it airs when it airs.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
we're going to send you a hat for coming on our show every month. All right, let's get to today's quote from the one and only Julius Caesar. Men willingly believe what they wish. I'd like to set it up like this. My father-in-law is an identical twin. My kids would used to be around him when they used to be around the two of them, could not tell them apart. They were raised at the hip until the age of 19. They were together with each other every single second. They still see each other all the time. They are diametrically opposed to how they will vote in this election. One loves Trump, one does not. It's so funny that they could come from the same household, be identical people, and they willingly believe whatever they wish. Brandon, what do you think about Julius Caesar? I feel like men just gravitate to ideas and you can't predict it.
Well, first off, it's interesting because there's a great, amazing series on, I think it's Starz Network, about where the universe splits. There's this timeline that splits on this one date in history, and the show follows how people change their lives based on little tiny events that happen. So it's possible that the identical twins, who knows what their life experience has been like, right? So they're obviously older gentlemen. They could have completely changed their vision of the world. So I'm not sure I'm buying you got to be stuck together, but I think Caesar was basically saying that you see what you want to see. I think this election is a perfect example of that, right? You see, if you turn on the news or you listen to people, they see what they want to see. I see this, and the other guy sees this, depending on what their view of the world is. So I think that's what Caesar was trying to say. He was also really, really rich and a power freak. So who knows?
So I didn't think it was going to go this direction, but I have a little pushback against you see what you want to see, because I think tech companies give us what they think we're going to be engaged with. Like, they give us the car wreck. Everyone sees a car wreck on the side of the road. They slow down and look at it. If you're on Facebook and you're looking at something, they're going to suggest that you look at something that's going to keep you engaged. So while we look out or we seek out our confirmation bias, I think right now it's important to point out that we need to be able to distinguish for ourselves what we're actually seeing, because it's being put in front of us for a reason.
I'm going to push back on your pushback, Andrew. I feel like now I'm not disagreeing with you. I think you're spot on about that. But I think what Caesar was simply saying is that you could take two people who see the exact same event and they will see it differently, right? So you can see two people watch a car crash and they will see things totally different in that car crash, because they either what their perspective on life is. I mean, who knows what it is? Larry just talked about his the two brothers, father-in-law and brother, or whatever that father-in-law character is, and they see the world differently now. What events happen to do that? They see the exact same set of facts, quote unquote facts, and they decide differently. I think that's what I think Caesar's trying to say, is you're going to see what you want to see.
And you know what? This quote kind of gave me hope, and that's why I chose it around this election, in that this has been going on for 3,000 years. It's not a current thing. Like, there are some people that I truly love, and they are on the opposite spectrum of me in this election. And I feel like we see the life pretty much the same, and they're completely different. So this is like a human being condition, not like a 2020 condition.
I would say, though, that Andrew's made a really good point. The difference between the time of Julius Caesar and today is social media. I really believe that. There has been no time in human history that we have had the speed of information able to get to us and control the way we think. So, for instance, when the printing press was invented, and 50 years later, Luther tacks up his 95 Theses on the church house door. Those 95 Theses were taken down and copied and sent all over Europe, right? So anybody could read them, and that was sort of information. Before that time, it had to come word of mouth. Now we don't even have to wait seconds before we get information. So people can manipulate us differently. Caesar didn't have that when in his time, right? They saw things in real time as they happened, and maybe they heard about it from somebody else abstractly, but they didn't get it like we get it from social media.
Yeah, I like that idea of how things are changing. I think when the printing press came out, people believed that humanity was doomed. I think no matter what, it always goes to humanity's doomed. Like, we're never going to remember anything before. And just like we're pivoting now on no one's going to know how to react to anything because there's so much social media. I think people are going to just seek out their confirmation bias, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of where we're at. So
just sort of picking up.
I think it's us up to you as an individual to absorb and responsibly digest information you receive, rather than seeing a headline and getting upset or getting euphoric.
That's the point exactly that I was going to pick up on, Brandon. You said manipulated, and what you just said right there is like, so many people in society just take what they see on Twitter as real. Like, how many people dig deep into the idea of what someone else says? Like, I guess if you were born in the medieval ages, you just had to take the word of the one guy you saw on the road. But now we have so much information, and I feel like people just take it for granted that there's information, and they don't do any digging into that information.
Or they don't even believe what they see in front of them because someone tells them differently. I think about like climate science deniers. Like, I don't know to what degree any of global warming has been affected, but I grew up in California, as you did, Larry, and I could tell you with certainty it is fundamentally different there now than it was in terms of weather than it was when I was a kid, and that's not that long. And the only thing I can look at and say, well, I've been hearing about global warming, and this seems to play into it, all the hurricanes and everything. Now, the science deniers would say, oh, it's just a spot in time and it'll turn back. I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that we're having some serious issues around weather. So we can't even agree that we're having bad issues around weather, even though we look out the window and see the bad weather.
I think a less controversial, depending on how controversial you view global warming, is when a celebrity dies. Like recently, Sean Connery died, and I see that come up on a social media feed, and my first reaction is to go to Google and make sure that it's covered across all platforms, because so many people like to just put it out there. Like Betty White has probably died 30 times by now. Like, it comes up every 6 months, and like my reaction is to go check it somewhere else, and I think that's what people need to do.
I thought you were going to say Billy Ray Shaver. Or Billy Joe Shaver. That's who I thought you were going to say. It's a celebrity who died. I was going there, Andrew. You went Sean Connery, but I'll go there.
Yeah. Well,
what I've read out of this quote is, I want to be one of those men who willingly don't believe what they wish. I want to not be a person that just takes a piece of information and goes like, and pass it on to the next person. I want to stop, sit with it, investigate it, and move on to the next thing. Yes.
Can I say one last thing? And Andrew, you can edit it out if it doesn't work. But today I've been getting nothing but texts from this group of guys that I've been friends with forever. And there's one guy that fundamentally believes one thing, and the rest I think the rest of the group kind of believes another thing. And this dude is so hardcore around what he believes that he's talking about the exact same things, and he's telling us we're idiots because we believe the opposite. And it's like, wait, but they're the exact same set of facts, and we just disagree on them. Like, it's not even like I just disagree that, like, Andrew sees a color gray and I see a color blue, and I'm like, I like blue, and Andrew's like, you can't possibly like blue, idiot. Like, yeah, I do.
Well, you can't, because I'm colorblind, and so I can't actually see what that color is. I have one last thing I want to say about this is, like, you believe what you want to believe, but I would encourage people to be open to changing what your belief is, because if you just dig in on one thing, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing right now, is like they pick their tribe, and no matter what, they're not going to change their belief because it's you're a bad person if you're not on my side.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I'm on your side. I'm on your side, Andrew.
Oh, thank you.
I'm on your side, guys.
Not so much.
If you prefer your dressing with anchovies, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out Football and Football with Brandon Doble. I'm Andrew Keller for Brandon and Larry saying thanks for stopping by.